Welcome to the Here in Hawaii podcast, presented by Hawaii State Federal Credit Union.
Aloha, and welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be hanging out with chart-topping singer-songwriter Chardonnay, who also happens to be one of the artists who brought our theme song to life. She first hit the scene with the chicken skin rendition of Adele's Easy On Me, and man, she's been killing it ever since. Beyond that, she's one of the most hilarious and authentic people I know, and as the kids say, she's a real one. I can't wait for you to meet my friend, Chardonnay. The first thing I noticed when we sat down, which is what was always so fascinating to me about you, is I first knew about you as Chardonnay, recording artist, glammed up, have all the fancy album covers. And then you tell me, oh, and I work on our family pig farm. And I was just like, how does this work? And then here I am seeing you like, got the boots, dirty shirt, and then you glammed up with the gold, right? Like, you're the most glamorous farmer I've ever seen.
You should see when I have my nails done too. I get real fancy.
How do you manage, like, it's almost like two different personalities, right? Yet you're the same. Like, does it feel like that for you? Like you have like two identities, or has it always been like, oh, this is just a part of me that I have different layers to me?
Yeah, I think it's definitely having different layers, but still feeling like the same person. And I try to find like the lessons in both industries that can kind of help me on the other side of things, right? Like pig farming is physical labor, no days off, super tired, like just drained, and having to think on your toes because you have to fix things. Like being a farmer is like, yeah, if you meet a farmer, like just be like, thank you, because they work so hard. And then I feel like I take that into the music industry side, which is similar. Like my schedule's crazy. I'm up late at night. I'm performing and having to think on my toes while I'm on stage. Yeah, so I think I really just try to blend it together, like the lessons that I learned from each one, and try to use it.
Yeah, and I gotta imagine too, like even the same principles of you reap what you sow on the farm and also in your musical career, right?
Exactly.
Like, because you gotta hustle for, if you really want to make it, you gotta put in a lot, right?
Exactly.
What is the background behind you and the farm life? Like,
For sure.
because I know this is a family thing, but yeah, tell me, I haven't really gotten too deep into knowing like the history behind it.
Got you. So I was born into it. My grandfather, from what I hear from stories from Papa and Grandma, I believe my Papa was raising animals from when he was young. Even like his own parents were raising animals. I remember it being a small animal, and I can't remember if it was like rabbits or ducks or something like that. So Papa always wanted to raise animals, like, or be a farmer, like rancher, farmer, cowboy, like that was his vibe.
Yeah.
And then my grandmother's side, they had a piggery on Molokai. That's where her side of the family is from. And I think from there, they got married, they were working together, and Papa got a farm. Like we actually had a farm down the road. And I lived on that farm when I was younger with my mom. That one had like an arena, we had horses. So much more like cowboy style, with a few pigs. And then I think in high school, Papa got this property, and this is like about 5 acres, and we were running an operation that had about 600 hogs at one time. So yeah, I was really born into it. And I remember the first jobs I would have on the farm would be things like washing down the kennels or washing down the pens with like, I had to learn how to use like a really high pressured water hose.
How old were you?
God, like it's my first memories. It was like washing down poop in like a pen with this big water hose. Like, did you guys see what is that movie? Alfalfa, Little Rascals.
Oh, okay.
When the clubhouse is on fire and then they go grab the fireman hose and they're like in the air like, wah! Like I feel like that's me. Washing pens from when I was young. So that, and then I learned how to drive a golf cart before I learned how to operate any other piece of machinery. And I would go feed grain to all the pigs. And yeah, so I just was brought up doing that.
See, for people who don't have that experience, on the outside, we're thinking, wow, that's so cool. But as a kid, did you feel that way? Or were you like, oh, they're getting free labor out of me. Like, I just want to go play or watch TV, but I got to go shoot down poop with this hose.
Nah, because it was a family business. Like all of my uncles and my mom, my grandparents, we all worked the farm, and it was just a part of growing up. So it didn't really feel like, oh, this is labor. Because I don't think I even really understood that that's what was like paying for everything. You know, like that wasn't really like taught to me. It was more just like this is what we're doing. Like, we're going to the farm, and this is my chores on the farm. And so it was just like second home. Yeah. So it didn't dawn on me until like, when I was older, like going to college, and I was like, oh, this is how we're paying for everything. And then of course that's, because I was going to college for business. So then I started to understand like the concept. This is a family owned business. This is a very small business. Because really, it's just our family. We don't have like any other workers or anything. And then I was like, oh, that's how we were able to go to Disneyland that one year. Or that's how we were able to take some sort of family trip or something, was from the farm. Or even tuition, like my tuition, my cousin's tuition, like we all would work on the farm and help each other out, basically.
So what, aside from hogs, what else did you guys have on the farm that was bringing in that income?
Hogs was the main income for sure. I know at one point Papa also had geese. We had goats. We've had like almost every animal on the farm at some point. Because I know we had a cow. I know we had the horses, but the horses were for riding, not for eating. But yeah, so we've had all kinds. And then now we slowed down on the hog side of things because it's kind of just myself and my uncle running the place right now. So we focus more on the fruits and vegetables, yeah.
Is that something new, the fruits and vegetables?
Well, Papa actually helped to plant these. So we've had them, but it was only for our own family to use. But now I've been trying to boost production. I've been trying to propagate and make more so that I can make that, our main thing.
What do you like about that? I mean, because you grew up with more like livestock. So it's kind of a shift, right?
It's so much easier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the physical part of like working with livestock, having to move them, it's dangerous too. Moving animals, they're a living thing that they're strong and they're huge. And so sometimes they can like try to take you out at your knees, or that's why I have to have steel toe rubber boots, because they could try to step on your toes and or even bite, like animals bite.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I've learned enough technique that I'm super comfortable with doing that, but definitely it's just like so much easier on my body. Because another thing is, animals have to eat every day.
Yeah.
So on top of just like moving animals around, I have to prepare their food, and preparing food for 600 hogs is like, I'll show you. We have a cooker that's like the size of this patio, and then all the food waste from all the grocery stores and restaurants go into it, and I mix it like a huge stew. And I'm going like this because that's how big my paddle is. I paddle and mix it.
There's a lot of canoe clubs that would just love to recruit you now.
I would definitely love to paddle in some ocean instead of the slop. Yeah, so I would have to mix it, and then, like it's these huge chutes and buckets, and having to feed them. And then if something goes wrong, let's say like the water pipes burst, then that's a high pressure water coming through PVC pipes that I need to off the water and then chop where the puka's at, make a sleeve and put it together, things like that. Or there's one pen that a lot of their waste would drop down, and then I had this big scraper that goes and scrapes the poop into like a poop pond.
Yeah.
And so if that thing breaks, I gotta go down there and I gotta do whatever my uncles tell me to do to fix it. So
I think you posted one time when that happened on your Instagram.
Yeah.
And you spent all day like shoveling.
Yes, shoveling and covered in pig poop.
Oh my
covered
God.
in poop.
Established in 1936, Hawaiʻi State Federal Credit Union is one of Hawaii's largest credit unions with 14 locations across Maui and Oahu. They offer full-service financial solutions to meet your needs, everything from checking and savings to loans, credit cards, and more. And as a not-for-profit, Hawaii State Federal Credit Union is able to give back to their members in the form of better rates, lower fees, and innovative services. In fact, last year, they gave back nearly $19 million in share dividends to their members. And they also are strong believers in the power of building relationships and enriching lives, especially by giving back to the community. So whether it's through donation drives or by employees giving their time, the team at Hawaii State Federal Credit Union understands that small actions can have a big impact in the lives of others. So if you're looking for a place to bank that's always right by you, then you gotta look no further than Hawaii State Federal Credit Union. You can visit www.hawaiistatefcu.com or stop by any branch to join the HSFCU family today. Federally insured by NCUA. Hey, our friends over at City Mill want to send a big aloha to all the gardeners out there and let them know that from Sunday, August 11th through Saturday, September 7th, City Mill has their customer favorite Fox Farm Ocean Forest Plotting Soil on sale for just $19.99. And their newest Fox Farm products, the Cultivation Nation 2-Step Soluble Fertilizers, are both on sale for $14.99. And for you fans of true organic plant food, you can take 20% off selected true organic products, including ready-to-spray liquid lawn food. And if you need healthy for you plant garden supplies, you can check out City Mill at citymill.com. Now they want to let you know that prices are valid through September 7th, so go down there right now and get you your stuff. All right, let's go back to the show. Growing up, did your family ever kind of try to instill in you anything like either like something important that they wanted you to carry on, or was it just, no, this is what we do and don't ask questions? Like, was there a lot of communication as to what the relevance or the importance, doing this was to maybe your family history or maybe even just like your own kuleana, as a part of your family?
That's such a good question. And to be honest, yeah, that wasn't really talked about. I think it was something that I just started to figure out and understand as I started to learn about myself and who I wanted to be as I got older, and realizing that in order to go after my dreams, I have to understand where I came from. And then as I'm out doing whatever it is I'm doing, I'm talking to people and letting them know, like, oh yeah, so I'm a pig farmer, and then their reactions of like, what,
That was mine.
Right. And then like I'm like, oh, this is kind of special, I guess. Like people are freaking out, to me it was just so normal. And then I started to find those connections on my own, I guess. Like my grandparents raised me, and they're much, older. And so I just always wanted to help take care of them. And so that was kind of the kuleana of feeling like, I'm doing this for my grandparents. They did so much for me and for our whole family. So I'm going to make sure I return that. And then realizing how I'm the oldest of my generation. Oh. And then so I have these cousins and these younger siblings that, I feel a responsibility that I need to help take care of them or lead by example. And so understanding how the farm was like our way of supporting all the generations, like I really I bought into it like big time. Yeah. And I'm still all about it.
How do you balance that though? Because as you listen all that, it's like so much is on your shoulders for others. Mm-hmm. Yet you're trying to pursue your dreams, and then the industry of music, especially as a solo artist, like you really gotta care for yourself and kind of be selfish in a way, because no one's gonna look out for you more than yourself, right?
Right.
And so how do you balance that of, you put so much of yourself into caring for your family, caring for the farm and your legacy, your family legacy, and then yet you still have to say, well, I really want this too, though. Mm-hmm.
I think finding taking care of myself within the two industries, because working with plants and working on land and working with animals, like that's literally a part of like therapy, right? Like some programs, that's their whole business is like, come brush some horses and you will have better character. There's things like that. So that is kind of my me time, because I'm out here by myself, and I'll just be like picking my fruits, and I'm just so stoked that like something that I watered and helped to grow just made me some fruits, you know. And then it also helps because I can use that for myself, because I love making myself a smoothie with my dragon fruit, or I can go out and sell it and make some money to help pay my bills. So that's like, it's really great. And then for music too, like the whole reason why I do music is because music has helped me through a lot of emotions and just expressing myself throughout life. So it's like I'll take time to write a song, and then it's great because then I can turn around and release that song, and then it helps my career. So I don't know, it's kind of a good flow. Like I feel like I have that me time integrated into the things I'm doing. That way I don't feel like I'm spreading myself too thin and stress out, because I've been there. Yeah, and I don't want to do that.
That's interesting, because from the outside looking in, I'm just like, oh, it looks like two like very hard things, and that I just imagine that you're just spread thin.
Mm-hmm.
But to know that each thing is also therapeutic, and it's actually building things for you rather than taking away,
Mm-hmm.
that's really special.
Yeah, I love it.
You said that music's helped you a lot. In what ways has music been helpful for you personally?
I feel like music is so magical in my life. Like the amount of things that I've been able to do because of music, it makes me feel like I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing in those moments and in life. I feel like that's my true purpose. Like I just, I do like to be there for people. Like I'm there for my family, and then I'm there for all of my supporters with music. Yeah, like I feel like I'm here to serve, and I feel like I'm here to help other people who might go through similar experiences and struggles. And by expressing myself and letting it out in my music, whether it's a performance or even like even just dressing up a certain way, that expression helps me just release so much of any of the energy that I might be feeling. And then in turn, when I share that and then I get responses from people that are like, oh, this really helped me, or this inspired me to do whatever, like I hear that and I'm just like, exactly. Like we're all just supposed to be trying to be happy and pursue our dreams. And I feel so blessed that I was able to do that. And I guess I want to inspire others to be able to do the same. And it just mentally helps me feel like, yeah, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Because I think that part might be kind of scary, right? I went to college not knowing what I was going to do.
Right.
I just studied business, and I was just like, I have no idea what I'm going to do after this. Maybe get a job at some corporate office and make a lot of money. And is that it? Like, is that the goal? Like, we're just trying to make money to survive. And that didn't feel good to me. I was terrified, actually. And so being able to do what I love every day and survive and like still accomplish the goals of making money to pay the bills, but the bigger purpose, like finding the bigger purpose, yeah, that helps me every day. That way I can keep going.
Was it difficult to understanding that bigger purpose and its value versus what I think traditionally, especially when we're young, we think success and value is just money, right? And so like you said, the big corporate office make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Knowing that this route doesn't typically come with that kind of result, was it hard for you to kind of make that transition and change?
Nah, I think I always wanted it.
Yeah,
because I was working, I did have like a 9-to-5 job in the office at my college, Chaminade University. And I was doing really great over there, but the whole time I was there, I'm doing good work, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'd rather be like imagining up my first music video, or I'd rather be like doing an interview on the radio station, or like doing something else, traveling and singing for people or something. And I kind of didn't really care much about having to figure out the bill situation. Like, don't get me wrong, it's scary, but I kind of was just like, I don't know, like, I'll just figure it out. I'm like, there's people who don't, I feel like there's people who exist that they're just like, whatever. And they somehow they're making it work. Somehow there are people who are making it work. And if they can do it, I can do it. Like, I'm over here with a college degree and the background of running the farm and stuff. So I was like, I'm good. Like, I have my family. I know they're not gonna let me fail and flop, So I was just like, whatever. I'm just gonna just dive in and figure it out. And then, as the bills came, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a little scary. But that's why I think it's good that I have like music and I also have the farm. And I can find different ways of making money. I feel like I have a really good creative brain with finding ways to make money off of the things that we have right around us. Yeah.
Having, being a musician and having the confidence to pursue that and such, and it just in you sharing this story of like, I'll figure it out kind of thing. Have you always had this kind of strength in understanding and confidence in yourself, or just belief of like, it'll be okay and I'm willing to take risks? Because not a lot of people have that in them to take these kind of risks or have that assurance in their self, like, I'll figure it out. Like, was that always part of your personality?
I don't know. I don't think I really took a risk that big until it was time to pursue music. Because before that I was just like, school every day, like perfect attendance and good grades, and like I just would dive into that. I was always creative. Like within school I would be involved in all the different clubs. I was a student body officer. I would travel through the school, like all the free programs at the school, I was there. Like it didn't matter. I remember one time I did like stress relief and sushi rolling.
What?
Never forget it.
Okay, you gotta explain what that is.
Yeah, like our student program in college, like they would always have these random events and I would go to all of them. And one of the most memorable ones was stress relief and sushi rolling. And literally it's just, we took a break from studying for finals and they had like all the different assortment of stuff we could put in our sushi roll, and they gave us the roller mats and we just talked story and rolled sushi and ate sushi. And then they taught us about like certain pressure points, like to keep us calm. But I had a great time. And like, that's the kind of thing that I would go to all these different activities so that I could have these cool experiences and make friends. And so I think that's more of what it is. It's like, I'm not afraid of the new experiences, and I'm not afraid of meeting new people and just making friends wherever. And it wasn't, I was really scared. Leaving my 9-to-5 and jumping into business was really scary. And I was like, oh, people are talking about like 401ks and like retirement. And I'm like, I don't know what any of that is. Like
I know how to make a sushi roll.
Yeah, right. I'm just like, I don't know what that is. And I know like insurance is important too, medical insurance. I remember I did have a very lengthy conversation with a very helpful lady in HR before I left, because I just was like, I just need to understand like what I'm about to do before I do it. And once I felt prepared enough, I was just like, yep, I'm out and I'm just gonna see where it goes. And I figured, I could always go back and get a job. If this doesn't work out, then I'll just try to get a job somewhere. Like I'm great, so I'll figure it out. I know that I have a really good hard work ethic, and maybe that has to do with the farm upbringing too, because I'm like, I can do anything.
Yeah.
If I can deal with 600 pigs every day, and my papa and my uncles being like, what are you doing? Like the stress of having to figure things out on the farm. Like I was like, AC office?
Yeah.
Come on, I can be an air conditioned office all day and you just tell me what? Yep, we're good. I'll make the copies. I'll do whatever.
What was the turning point for you where you said, okay, now I'm gonna, because you said you're scared, right?
Yeah.
What was it that you needed for it to change where you were willing to take that risk and face that fear?
I was noticing that I think I had used up all my vacation days. And I was traveling a lot. Like I was like going to Tahiti and Guam and New York, and I was having all these wonderful experiences because I just had friends that were going, and I was like, I'm gonna go too. And I think there was a trip that like I ran out of vacation days, and then there was like a radio interview where they had called me the day before and they're like, oh, we want to feature you on the radio. And this is the beginning of my music career. So I'm like, I can't miss this opportunity to be on the radio station. And I remember my boss she wasn't terrible, but she was, kind of giving me some,
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? Like, I'm about to be on the radio. Like, this is everything to me. And so, yeah, I think I was just like, man, screw this. I'm out. Like, I was like, I'm not about to like live my life within these walls and I'm like getting pasty white because I can't see the sun because I'm working in an office. Like, it was great, consistent income. I learned a lot and I still love that school very much. But yeah, I was like, no, I don't want this for my life. I'm gonna go to that trip. I'm gonna be on the radio station. I want to have control of my schedule. And that was like the big thing for me. And yeah, just out. I put in my 2 weeks.
So one of the things that, going back to having you juggle your career in music and in the farm and stuff, the thing that's been really inspiring about you is that you've been comfortable with just showing who you are and being authentic, whether it's in your performances or how you show yourself online and stuff. And in this world, especially in the superficial world of entertainment, so much effort is put into like, I gotta put my best forward and make it look like I'm living the dream life and nothing's wrong. What was it for you that you did the opposite, where you said, sometimes life is ugly and sometimes I gotta shovel poop, and embracing just who you are and throwing it out there. Like, where did that come from?
I think I looked up to a lot of artists and I learned from them because I've always loved island music, like forever. And I think watching my idols and how they, I guess, operate in their brand and things like that, I learned what I liked and what I didn't like. Because not every experience with my idols were great. Some of them were like, oh. And just from watching them and learning what I wanted to represent for myself. And I noticed that's what I enjoyed. Like, I enjoy seeing and hearing about people's authentic selves and stories, because that's the ones that I really learn from. Like, I'm not gonna learn about anything, or I'm not gonna learn from you if all I'm hearing is like this perfect facade, or even if it is real and it's perfect, like, tell me what was going on in your head. Tell me how that affected people around you, or all of that. I really like to learn from the people that came before me. So yeah, I think I always, from when I was really small, like I loved watching people who were famous and like how they operated. Even to this day, like when there's a scandal from one of my favorite like rappers or something, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see how the marketing team and the PR people handle this one. Like I just love understanding the process, seeing how they spin it, deciding to myself, do I believe that or do I think that's BS? Like, and from there, trying to just do the things that I like and that I enjoy. Because I figure I want to do this forever. Like, I'm trying to be a legend. Like, that's my goal. I want to be, like, Sister Robi Kahakalau, her voice is like my entire childhood.
It's like your soundtrack, yeah?
Yes. And so I have so much respect for her and so much love for her. And I want to be that for somebody. And then Fiji, of course, my favorite. Everything that he's done for all of his fans and stuff, like, I want to be like that. So, and I know that I'm not going to get there if I'm going to be exhausted trying to put up a front of who, the people expect me to be. I'd rather just be myself. It sounds a lot more peaceful. Yeah. Even though it might not always be peaceful, it might be ugly and chaotic. It just, within myself, it sounds more peaceful to just be honest.
Is it ever scary for you? I mean, especially because you have such a large reach that you're going to hit all kinds of different people. You have different kind of reactions and opinions, right?
For sure. Those aren't my people though, if they're not like down with the things that I am and represent. Because there's a lot about me that people might not like. Being a farmer, even though it's so wonderful and I'm very proud, there are people who they don't want animals to be sold for meat. And I totally understand that. My sexuality, like being part of the queer community, not everybody's gonna like that. Or maybe they might like it for me, but they don't want that for their own kids. So it's like finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of I try to focus on the people that are there supporting me, and who I in turn also support them by just existing and showing them that it's possible to be this type of person in this industry and make your dreams come true and all of that. And then everybody else, because I get some hate comments and stuff, and I mean, it hurts. I'm an emotional person, but I use humor a lot, so I try to just like laugh it off or just ignore.
And it also probably fuels you for more creative things in your music, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure, because I've experienced that. That's why I got Mrs. Two-Face. That's like my favorite my favorite piece of work with that, for sure.
When you said that you want to be a legend, do you have a vision of what that looks like, as far as when you'll know you've achieved that? Because it sounds like such a great goal, but then you always hear about these super successful people who the success they reach still isn't enough. Do you have an idea of what that looks like, so you understand for yourself? Yeah,
I think as far as music, with my music goals, I just want to be doing it for the rest of my life. And that's kind of it for me. When I think about the legends and icons in the industry, they just never gave up. They just never stopped. They're still out here doing that thing. So I'm like, perfect, I'll just never quit. So that's kind of what it feels like for me, because I'm really blessed too with social media. Supporters can access me quite easily, and send me messages directly letting me know how I help them in their lives. And with that happening, like I know already, like I've reached that. Like where I am right now, I'm already like a legend in my own world, So I just got to keep going forever until I can't no more. And even then, I'll probably still figure out some sort of a way, like I'm trying to leave a legacy so that even when I am gone, I still want to be helping people and helping the community. So yeah, I think that one's pretty easy. And then for the farm, it's more, I have like specific visions of like what I want this place to become. And so I guess when I see those things, when I see it in real life, whatever I have in my head, I'm going to see it in real life, and then I'll know, like, okay, yeah, I did it.
How important is it? Because I can hear and understand how important it is for you, for your music career, of the legacy that you want to leave behind. When it comes to the farm, it's not only you, I mean, you're carrying with you your generations before and then future generations. What has that process been like for you, as far as how you are tackling that responsibility and that legacy for your family and yourself?
I think we're so blessed to have this land, and culturally, especially for Hawaiians in Hawaii, right? Land is one of the most valuable things that we could have right now. And for that, I think I try to set realistic goals. And the first goal is just to never sell this place. Like, I hope that there's something that I can put in my will, or some sort of, if I can make enough money that it can be paying off the property tax on this place for the rest of eternity. And I kind of want to set things up in that way, just so that this place is never lost. This place is so special to our family. It needs to remain.
Hey, I want to tell you guys about one of the best companies to work for here in Hawaii. And I'm not just saying that. I literally had one of my good friends go down there and apply for a job. She got hired, and she is just loving it over there. I'm talking about Elite Parking. I've gotten to know the owners and the management team, and they have one of the best work environments I've ever seen, because they're good people down there. And they follow this philosophy of one team making a difference. And so they really take care of each other, because they understand the value of everybody working together and being happy. I mean, it's the hospitality industry that they're in, and of course, they want to make sure that first and last impressions are always great. And so they really want to take care of their employees so that the employees can take care of their customers. So they do all kinds of things as it pertains to parking, like valet parking, private events, hospitals. They run the parking for commercial properties and hotels. So lots of opportunities, and they have other positions within the company as well. And so if you're looking for a place to, check out for work, they're always looking for really good candidates. So I suggest that you go and check them out. Go to eliteparking.net/careers and see what they got. Maybe it might be a good fit. Here in Hawaii is grateful to be sponsored by UHA Health Insurance. For over 27 years, they've been committed to personalized service, working to provide Hawaii businesses with health plans that help support their employees' health and well-being while building connections through a caring heart. Now, they aren't the biggest health insurer or the oldest, but they're homegrown, they're founded by physicians, and driven by a profound kuleana and privileged duty to care for Hawaii's people. We hope that you enjoy connecting the dots to your why, featuring leaders inspired to malama or care deeply for our community while fulfilling their calling. UHA Health Insurance, your local insurer, offering quality medical, drug, and vision plans to Hawaii employers. Join them at uhahealth.com/HIH. You grew up, your grandparents and then your dad, and I know now you're kind of in the position that you grew up looking up to. And that's kind of more recent that you're in that kind of position. What has that experience been like for you? Have you dealt with this new kind of perspective of now you're the one to move this on to the next generation?
I think I might have had that with me for a long time. Being the first grandchild, I was raised by my grandparents, so I kind of felt like I was the baby of my mom and uncle's generation. So then I have like my younger brothers and all my younger cousins. So I had like this sweet spot of like being the baby of them and then being the oldest of the next generation. So I think I've always kind of had that with me, and being with my grandma, watching her. I know I had shared last time when we talked about grandma and all her classmates at St. Francis, and she was like the alumni president for her school. And I learned from her a lot about just being a leader and making things happen, resourcing, and just, taking the lead and making things happen. Because I think grandma's also she's the nurturer of our family. So she's the one that would bring us together a lot. Papa was more, he liked to tell stories. So he would bring us together in that way, tell stories and hard work. And with grandma, it was also hard work, but it was like this come together because we need to lead and get this done. And she also was a nurturer. So I think it's a balance from both of them.
What is one of your favorite stories that your papa used to tell you?
Man, he had so many. He told me this one story. I think it was over here, one of these ridges that he went hiking or hunting with his friend. They would like hunt goats in the mountains over here. And he told me how there was one part where he literally had to like scale the side of this huge boulder. Like, cause on the path, it was like skinny. And there was like this big boulder. And he literally had to like shimmy across.
Spider-Man is there.
Exactly. And then I remember him telling me like he was so pissed off with his friend. He was like, I'm not going back that way. And I think he like found another way to get down the mountain. And like just sitting on the porch right over here with him and like having him point and tell me these stories. And I can visually like see these spaces that he's talking about. Yeah, it was so great. Some of the, I think I just had really good moments with my grandpa too. Making him laugh was funny. He had like a really big beer belly. So when he would laugh, it's like this big belly, ha, 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 ha. And he would always snort when he laughed. And I do it too now. But so I loved cracking him up because his laugh was so funny. one time I was talking to him. I would be harvesting fruits or doing whatever. And he'd be like yelling at me, saying like, "You're doing it wrong," or like, "Oh, you should put some gloves on. You're gonna get. I told you." Like, and I'm over there stubborn, like, I got it. So I remember I would always kind of stand there with my hands on my hips and be like, "What?" And then so one time he was talking to me like, "You should blah 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 blah," and then out of nowhere, one of my dogs, Uli, she's my biggest dog. She liked to run. I was teaching her how to sprint because I thought she was the fastest dog in the world. She broke into a full sprint from the front gate and she took out my legs. All I remember was seeing my legs in the air, like right here. And boom, I fell on the ground. And then my papa, and he's snorting and laughing. And I'm just like on the ground, like, how did I get here? Like, it all happened so fast. But yeah, I love those memories with him, just making him laugh.
That's so great that you have these, it's like little timestamps of joyous memories all around you. It kind of keeps that here, and that you live here, so it's always around.
Yeah, and while I'm working, it feels like, I still have the memory and the energy of him sitting on the porch and telling me how to do certain things. And there were moments where I was I was trying to unclog a drain on a dog kennel. And I remember Papa telling me, okay, the drain is quite long. It's a long PVC pipe and it just disappears into the earth, but it's there, And so the day I was trying to clean it, he had passed away and I was trying to clear it out. I remember I started to give up. I was like, oh my gosh, like it's so hot. I'm getting sunburned. I can't find the end of this thing. I was like, maybe it doesn't end. Maybe it just keeps going.
It goes to China.
Yeah, right. But I had the memory in my head of him saying like, it ends. You just need to find it. It's in there. And I find myself like standing there for moments trying to think like, God, like Papa told me this one time. Like, how does this go? And where does this lead? And because he built all of this, so it's fun trying to return to those memories. It's a good challenge, and it just brings back the memories so that it's not forgotten. Like there's no way he can be forgotten. Literally everything I do, it feels like he's right there telling me how to do it. And the other day, dragon fruit just came into season, and it was filled with fruits. So I had picked, and it was a big bunch like this, and I was walking this way to go home, but before going into my house I felt like he was sitting there watching, so I kind of like showed and I was like, look what I got. And I was like, I'm talking to a porch, but whatever. And then I walk in the house and it just feels good. Feels like he's still here.
Do you think he's also judging you for not wearing gloves when you picked him?
Probably. He's rolling his eyes. He likes to roll his eyes at me. Rolling his eyes like, oh, I told her to wear gloves and not. And then, sure enough, I had one of the thorns stick me really good and it was sore for like a whole week. And I was like, I should have had my gloves on.
You said that, you love helping others, right? Why has that been such a focus for you and something that why you do music, why you are doing what you do here at the farm? Why is helping others so important to you?
I feel like I was taught that from so young, like even in school, I went to religious schools, like Catholic schools, private schools, most of my life. And that's what we were taught, was to be kind to one another. And I felt like that was just a reoccurring theme in all the big lessons of life, or even watching like a musical and there's that lesson in there. It's like, you do a good deed and then you'll be blessed. So I feel like that was just ingrained in me from such a small age that I was like, yeah, like that's what we do. And I remember when I got older and I realized that not everybody was like that. It was a really big blow. I remember being like, oh my God, like there's people that exist that actually like don't care or like will intentionally be mean. Like that I that didn't even process in my brain that was a thing. So I think that was the lesson I had to learn, was that not everybody is like that. So Yeah. I think usually maybe it might be the opposite. People are taught, take care of yourself.
Right.
And then later on they learn, be nice to others, like maybe when they're older they learn that. But nah, for me it was the opposite. I was like, we gotta be good. Well, we gotta be good to one another. And then, oh my God, why are you so mean? Like, why do you hate me?
Has it been hard to keep that? Because, like you said, especially in the entertainment industry, people who are successful, some of them will say, you got to look out for yourself, like, got to be cutthroat, you got to, can't be nice, people take advantage of you. But knowing that being nice, caring for others has been ingrained in you, has that been difficult for you?
I think in the first few years of my experience, yeah, because I didn't learn my lesson to set boundaries. I think I was like, yeah, I'll just be who I am and be this genuine person. And then I was getting not screwed like so badly that I would not want to return to music, but I've had experiences, and it could be as simple as somebody who I thought supported me like really doesn't, or maybe they're doing it for the attention or the clout of being friends with me on social media. Like I kind of see that. So learning the skill to identify genuine people from people who might not be so genuine, trying to understand people's purpose, their motives, and just making sure that I set boundaries, but I don't want to lose myself, right?
Yeah.
Like if being who I am is what got me this far, and I like who I am, I worked really hard to be the person that I am. So I need to continue it and also just protect it. So I think that's where I try to make sure that even when I'm feeling like, damn, like this keeps happening to me, or like, why is this person like this? I hear suggestions from my friends, they're very protective of me, being like, you should say this, or you should put them on blast, or you should
burn the whole
burn it to the ground. And I mean, like, I could, but I feel like I'd rather not, because I feel like putting that energy out, that angry, vengeful kind of energy, it's gonna come back to me somehow. And I'd rather be continuing to put out the good energy so that that's what I get instead. And then, like I said, setting boundaries. I go to therapy. I love going to therapy. It's my first time going to therapy. I started, maybe it's been about a year since I started. And yeah, with my therapist, I learned how to set boundaries and how to not be afraid to say something firm. It's not mean, if it's just firm, honest and firm, I think. Yeah, that's been a lesson for me for sure.
What's been the biggest lesson as far as in going to therapy that surprised you, that you learned about yourself, or the process about, becoming who you are?
One of my favorite things about that I learned was, so when I was going through a lot of my anxiety and depression, it was after I'd experienced a lot. What year is that? 2023. That year is crazy. Going through a divorce, going through the loss of my grandfather, and feeling heard and understood. I just felt so validated by being able to talk to a professional. And I know that's her job, but she's so good at it. Like, these people they're doing God's work. And then from getting that validation and then learning how to communicate in healthy ways about the things that aren't necessarily making me happy. Because I like to be such a, I don't want to use the word like people pleaser, because I don't think I'm a people pleaser. I think I just like being nice.
Yeah.
I like being helpful and I like being kind.
I want to be positive.
Right. So when I'm feeling like, oh, I don't like that, and I don't like the way that you said this or whatever, to me, like, voicing that, I feel like it's a burden on that person,
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a burden to this person, or I don't want to hurt their feelings. Because I also understand I'm a Scorpio and I use my words. Sorry, like with this thing, but I guess I was fearful of hurting people by being honest. But through therapy, I learned techniques of communicating and thinking things through. Just like that decision, right, to leave my 9 to 5 and pursue my dreams. I think things through with my decision of how I'd like to present a situation to somebody that I care about. Because for me to be wanting to address something, it means it's somebody I love and I care about that I need to address something with. So finding time and giving myself time and learning the techniques to healthily communicate. And the surprising part was the reactions that I got were good. You know, like even like within my own family, you know, having tough conversations. We've been running this business as a family for years, my whole life. So speaking up at this age and being like, hey, so, you know, like how we've been doing it, I don't really like how we've been doing it. I think we could do it this way. And it might be better because this, and this. But, you know, like, it's scary, like talking to these people that I care so much about, and we've been set in this way. But I've been like pleasantly surprised with the reaction from the people I love, and it makes me feel safe. Their reaction, being receptive to it, maybe might not agree all the time, but what they do agree on is that something bothered me and it needs to be addressed. And that shows me so much love that I get that feeling like I'm gonna be okay. You know, everything's gonna be okay. So yeah, that's been such a wonderful process. I feel like, I'm not afraid to discuss and chat now.
I'm so glad that you shared that, and that's so beautiful, because there's so many times when you hear other people kind of misinterpret that guidance, and it's like, I gotta just tell it how it is. I'm not fake, but without that intention of caring for others, because you want to make sure that they're receiving it in a way of love. It comes across as like so mean and hurtful, and they think they're validated because it's like, well, I'm being honest, this is my truth, you know, kind of thing. So for you to help share how it can be done in the right way, and then hearing you experience positive results from it, like it's so great to know.
So lucky.
Yeah.
I know not everybody has that, so thank you, God.
So now that things are kind of in this beautiful transition for you, I mean, you just had the biggest performance of your career so far at Aloha Stadium and such. What is it that you feel like is the next step for you as far, and it doesn't even have to be career-wise, but even just in your personal growth, like what is the next thing that, because you're so motivated and driven to achieving something, what's the next thing that you are trying to work towards?
It's kind of a cool like time for you to be asking me that, because literally right now I'm in this transition phase. Since 2023 was a lot of trauma, a lot of experience, and then 2024, we're like halfway through the year now. It's been just like learning how to take better care of myself and healing. Like that's been the theme of this season in my life, is healing and finding healthy ways to process a lot of what I went through. And so I feel like we're kind of getting into a place where now I'm seeing the results of that healing, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. It feels really good. So then now, naturally, as an artist, what am I gonna do with all that experience? I gotta make something. So I think that's what's next. I don't necessarily feel it right now, like I gotta write this. I don't feel that just yet. So I'm trying to take my time and just pay attention to myself for when that moment comes, because I know it's gonna come. Just like how I know this feeling right now was gonna come. Because you know, when you're feeling anxiety and depression, you're like, my God, when is it gonna be over?
Right.
Universe, like I literally be like, universe, I've had enough. Like, hey, just letting you know, I'm tapping out. We're cool. Like, and I for me, I know I get really sleepy. Like when I'm feeling in the thick of it, I just need to take a nap. I guess it's my escape is to just. So I've been noticing now, like, no, I have energy. And I've been like accomplishing my physical health goals, because that's been something that I was really nervous about. lowering cholesterol. Like that's been like the theme. I'm like, I gotta lower my cholesterol. And what lowers cholesterol? Cheerios, because the commercial says that. But and I also like, I want to share too, like the weight that I was at the beginning of this year was the largest I've ever been. And my grandfather, one of the things that he was struggling with before his passing was heart health and also like diabetes. And so I was like, man, you know, like it's in my bloodline that this is what I could also experience if I don't start making these changes. But I think mentally I wasn't strong enough. I think I was beaten down pretty bad emotionally, where I was like, you know what, like I just want to sleep and eat what I want because I feel like crap, and just getting up right now is really hard. Like, and like continuing. So now that I've been consistently doing my therapy and this is starting to feel a little better, and I'm like communicating, and then I'm seeing that I'm like, I've lost 20 pounds today. I just got, I looked at it and I hit the 20-pound mark, and I'm like, oh my God. So I'm only like 12 pounds away from like the goal that I have. Yeah. So I'm so happy. And so seeing the results of my healing like that, it's making me excited because I know that I'm finally on the other side of it. And now it's going to be okay. Like I'm going to put this into my art somehow, because I want other people to hear like what I did and what I went through. Like I'm in no way a professional like dietitian or any of those things. It's just like looking at my life as a whole, like how I was able to do these things and in a healthy way. No, no substance abuse, which is so common, especially in the music industry, and no like losing of myself or letting the parts of me die that I love so much. You know, like I just feel like in the hustle and bustle of things, like people, they can lose themselves. They can get addicted to certain things. They might do things that later on they regret. They might find themselves in tough situations where they feel like they have to do this thing that they don't want to do in order to get to the next level. I want to be that example that's like, you ain't gotta do any of that. Like you can be exactly who you want to be and who you are. Strive to be the best person that you can be and just do your best. And you can do this without having to go down these paths that, to me, I think it would be so much harder to come back from.
Yeah.
But then also showing an example of, because I went down a struggle path with my depression and anxiety, and showing that it's possible. If you do end up there, you can come back to this side and it'll be okay. Yeah.
It's, as you're describing all that, it's like so appropriate that we're on a farm, because it just sounds like similar to harvesting, you know, like you're seeing the plant grow and you know there's going to be some good fruit.
Yes.
It's not quite there, but if I keep caring for it and giving it good nutrients and stuff, it's going to be a nice harvest.
Yes.
And I feel
And
like
also,
you're at that point, right?
like the plants, you have to remove the dead parts.
Right.
So like if let's say there's a dragon fruit, and there's one fruit that is so beautiful and delicious looking, but the birds got to it and was nibbling on this side. You don't want to just leave that fruit there. No, take it off and get rid of it. It's no good anymore. But the reason why you do that is because if you leave it there, the plant is going to think that fruit is still a part of it. And it's going to still need to put nutrients into it. But that fruit has since been lost since the bird got to it already.
Right.
So you need to remove it so that the plant can put the nutrients into the new buds or the other fruit that is doing well and is not tarnished yet.
Wow.
So you have to remove the dead parts.
That's such a beautiful analogy.
I know, I love that. When I learned that, I was like, damn, plant therapy.
Yeah, when you told me like, farming is kind of your therapy, I was like, I don't know, it sounds hard and tiresome to me. Like, how is that therapeutic? But yeah, now I can see it.
Lots of life lessons. I mean, you're literally like, I feel when I'm working with my plants, I feel like it's the closest I am spiritually to my higher powers. And that is like religiously and culturally. Because if you think about it with religion, it's like, if you believe that there is a God or a higher power that creates, creation.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally making new life. I'm making a new plant by propagating it, and I'm cultivating it and helping it to grow. So yeah, I'm like, this is literally like God, like that's what it feels like. It's like I'm able to experience that with my plants. And then as a human, like I think about like the process. I don't have any kids yet, but I want to make a baby. And I'm over here like I can see the keiki plants coming off of the main branch, and how, okay, I gotta take it off, and I gotta make it its own little thingy so that one can grow, and then that one's gonna make more plants. And it's just a trip, like when you compare planting and like us.
Yeah.
So crazy. And then culturally, like our soil, our aina it's like our kupuna. It's who it's where we came from, right?
Yeah.
So that feeling of just handling it and spending time with it, it feels like, I don't know who some of my ancestors are, but I feel like they're proud, whoever they are. If they were to see that I was doing this, I feel like they'd be proud. So yeah, I mean, if my ancestor is my aina, like she's happy because I'm spending time with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aloha gardeners! Hey, upgrade your watering game at City Mill. Stylish and functional, the Ames hose deck box with easy spin crank keeps your hose organized and out of sight. It's a limited quantity special buy, only $49.98. And the Gilmore heavy duty Flexogen hose is 50 feet long and on sale for only $24.99. And check out their Gilmore hose nozzles on sale now at $3.79 each. And if you need watering tools for your garden, try check out City Mill and citymill.com. Prices are valid through September 7th. Hey, I wanted to take a quick second to acknowledge and mahalo one of our great sponsors here on the show, and that's Aloha Care. They're a nonprofit health plan, and they've been a really great partner for us in supporting the show. So please support them by going to their website and learning more about them at alohacare.org. All right, now back to the show. If you wouldn't mind, like, explaining when you talk about having anxiety and depression, what are you referring to? Like, where did that come from?
Sure. So there's two really big events that happened in 2023, which was separating from my wife and going through divorce, and then also my very first loss, which is losing my grandfather. And those two things were happening simultaneously. So it was really, really heavy. And I think now I can look back and kind of understand what was happening a bit more. Because when I was in it, I was just kind of just receiving all of that energy. I wasn't in therapy yet, so I didn't know how to set boundaries. I didn't know how to healthily communicate. So I think I was just kind of taking the blows. With losing Papa, that one was really hard. First loss, I was also his caregiver before he passed. And I had I was staying in the nursing home and in the hospital with him. And then when we brought him home, I had to learn how to be his nurse, his home care nurse. So it's a great honor to have been that person to take care of him all the way to the end. But that responsibility and it's very traumatic being there literally to the end, because I was there with him when he passed. Great honor, but heavy.
Yeah.
Very heavy. And I mainly cry now just because I miss him a lot. And it taught me a lot about that world. There's a lot of people who their life's work is caregiving for our kupuna. And it's a very hard, stressful job. I think that's definitely harder than farming. It's really, really hard. And so I have a lot of respect for caregivers. They trained me and they taught me a lot. And I was able to be there for Papa to the end. But I think I had to really get to that place where it was just, I gave up in a sense. and I let the people around me help to take care of me. But I made sure that I set myself up in a way that I wasn't just letting myself slip so deep into the dark place that, you know, there would be no coming back from it. So I made sure to talk about what I was feeling as often as I could, honestly, and to anybody who would really listen. Like when people ask me how I was doing, I don't care if you were just like, oh, how are you doing? And you didn't mean to hear all that, but I was like, I'm not okay. I'm not really okay, and I'm not sure what to do about it. And and then from there, it was like people, like my best friend told me, I think you should go to therapy. I think you should try to talk to somebody. Like, okay. And then my family, letting them know, like, oh, I'm struggling with it. And they just made sure they gave me the time. They'd check in on me. Surrounding myself with not just the family and friends, but then getting that professional help. I knew that I had to invest in myself and set myself up for success, because I knew I was done trying to do it on my own. You know, my whole life up until then, I was just figuring it out based off of what I had learned in my upbringing. And that was all wonderful foundation material for me to use. But getting the professional help, it helped with my anxiety so much, because then at least I knew that I had support with the decisions I was making, you know, because you get to that place where you're like, oh, I don't know if what I'm doing is the right thing, or am I being too much, or am I like, where does this anxiety come from? Am I validated in feeling this way, or am I just a Looney Tune right now, losing it? Like, so hiring the professionals just helped me so much, and they gave me that foundation again. They're like, don't worry, girl. We got you. And then, I was able to make it through.
What was your opinion and thought about therapy prior to getting into this situation?
You know, I went to college and we had to take psychology classes, and I had friends who were in the psych field, right? So I was always like, yeah, everybody needs therapy. But I never went to any. So it's like, I never thought it was bad. I just didn't think that I needed it, I guess. I was like, oh, therapy is for like drug addiction, or like, I don't know, something else where it's really affecting you or whatever. But I remember my best friend, she's the only person that could have told me to go to therapy and I would actually listen to, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think like if somebody else had said that before she did, I'd be like, screw you. There's nothing wrong with me. But yeah, like she said it so matter-of-factly, and I was just like, man, if my best friend's telling me that they think I should check it out, then maybe I should. And I knew that I needed to set myself up once again for success. I wasn't about to hire a therapist, like, no offense, I'm not trying to sound like a racist, but it's like, I'm not going to listen to an old white man tell me, an old straight white man tell me anything.
There's not a lot of shared experiences there.
Right. Yeah. Like that's not my experience. Yeah. And how can I expect that person, that type of person, to understand my experience? So I needed to make sure that it was rooted, like someone that was rooted in culture, someone who understood the queer experience. And it could have been a male, or a female, but I guess I would be more receptive to a female. And I lucked out, because what happened was, okay, so you know how I was in HIH?
Yeah.
From there, somebody saw me in that, and then they put me in this Haumea Chronicles showing. It's another theater performance. And that performance, we were talking about ma'i and the female experience with that. So we had a therapist on site, a native Hawaiian therapist. And I was just like, wow, that's really cool. Didn't think about it. Then all these things happened, right? And then my best friend's like, you need to go to therapy. And I was like, wait, I remember that doctor that I met at Haumea Chronicles. So I had called her and I'm like, oh my God, you know, like telling her I need help and I don't know where to go and I don't trust anybody. Where can I go that I can feel safe? And I asked her if she could be my therapist and she's like, I want to be your friend, so no. So I was like,
this didn't go the way I thought it would.
So I was like, oh frick, like what do I do? But it turns out she owned her own practice. And so she had a whole team. Oh, wow. Yeah. So she was like, I have someone in mind that I think would match with you. And my therapist is perfect. She's not native, but she's dedicated her life's work to the Hawaiian people. And she hasn't been here super, super long, but you can tell that she just gets it. Yeah. And she understands my queer experience. She understands some of my superstitions that I have culturally and just all of the things. And I'm so, so grateful because once again, I put that energy into getting help and I got a really great person. Yeah. I was afraid, like, I've heard so many horror stories of people, they go and then it's like, that one sucked. And then they're just like hopping from therapist to therapist. And I'm like, God, I don't want to have to go through this again.
How did you find out and recognize that you had depression and anxiety?
I think first thing was right after Papa passed away, I had gone to the doctor to do a wellness check. Just because I knew that I had gained some weight, and I knew that I was kind of feeling like tightness in the chest and everything. And I was like, I know that I kind of I wasn't taking care of myself because my job was to take care of Papa. Yeah. Even down to like what I was eating and my sleep schedule and everything, like it was all based off of what he needed. And I'm super proud of myself for doing that. But I knew that, okay, it's time for me to kind of take care of myself again. And so I just went to my doctor and I was like, hey, can I just do some blood work and check things out? And I let them know, I was like, you know, I'm kind of struggling. I'm feeling sad. I just lost my Papa. And I remember the nurse was just like, how are you doing today? And I was like, she's probably like, Jesus Christ. And I remember when I was talking to my doctor doing my blood work, they had suggested, they were like, yeah, you know, it would be good, like hearing what you're going through. It's good that you're here, but you should probably look into the other things. And then I got my results back and then it showed, and I had been healthy before this, but it showed I had high cholesterol and possibly a little bit of a vitamin B deficiency, I think. And I was like, oh my God, what? Like, never have I ever had that happen. It's always been like, you're good. So once I saw that, I was like, oh my God, if that's happening to me physically, Lord knows what's happening up here or in here that I need to work on. That, and then also, I just noticed that I was just super sleepy. I literally would just want to sleep all the time. Like, I can't explain. Right. Like, what I say, like, oh, I wanted to sleep forever. But I don't mean that in a way where it's like I want to, not that, but I really did just want to sleep because it felt more comfy. Yeah.
You care so much about helping others and how many more people now you can relate to, because there's so many people who struggle with depression and anxiety and, you know, traumatic experiences and such. Yeah. And for a person like yourself who's so your intentions are always to, one, be authentic and then help people. And it's like, I think it's almost like a beautiful combination of terrible things to make something great. It's almost like taking poop, making manure, and then it grows and
fertilizer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because that's very true. And I have actually seen that, because there was a girl that I follow who owns a business. She makes really amazing candles, and she lost her grandmother. It's her first big loss. And she has so much courage to share that she was struggling. And she shared on social media, I'm having a hard time. And so I reached out and I shared with her what I went through. And actually, I share what you told me, because it helped me so much. You you explained that grief is love. And I've been telling everybody that. Like everybody that is experiencing that loss and feeling like they have to apologize for their tears or have to explain like why they're feeling the way that they do, explain their sadness really. I've been saying like, man, this guy Nolan told me this amazing thing and it really helped me. And because to me, the way that I interpreted it is grief is love. I'm not shame to grieve because all it is love. It's just the expression of my love that I had for my person who I don't have around anymore. And grief looks different for everybody. And just being a support to someone the way that you were a support to me through that, like it feels good to be able to share that. Because there's been, I think since you told me that, I've shared that with 5 different people.
Wow.
That have lost someone. So that being that kind of like megaphone, you know, of helping others with the things that I learn along the way. Yeah, really. Another thing that I did that's so like another piece of advice for people that have lost someone or if they're dealing with the anxiety. So the day after my papa passed away, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was just a mess. One of my friends picked me up and was taking care of me and trying to force me to eat. I didn't want to eat because I was like, food makes me think about my papa. Everything makes me think about my papa. Like, I don't want to eat. And I had a friend who, she experienced loss and she was like, try doing a puzzle. She's like, I know it sounds weird, but just try. And so that friend who had picked me up took me to Target. I picked out a Disney collage puzzle because I'm like, you know, something that will make me happy. It's like a 1,000-piece puzzle. I did it in like a few hours. Like I just sat there all day focusing on that puzzle. And now it's framed and hanging in my house. And it's a reminder of me being able to get through one of the toughest days of my life so far. And so now when somebody's dealing with some anxiety or grief, I'm like, puzzle? And I'll go pick up a puzzle and I'll go meet up with my friend and be like, okay, like let's figure this out. And yeah, I'm really grateful. I feel like my support system around me really did a freaking amazing job. They did their big one with keeping me afloat during that time. And so with the platform I have with music, trying to figure out a way to be that megaphone again with my music to help everybody, because it made me feel good.
See, that's why it's so important to have people like yourself out there, because what you shared that I shared with you, how it helped you share it with others. I mean, I got that from somebody else who shared with me. And for us to be able to spread those versus a lot of times people will put their energy into spreading negative things because of, you know, the salation of it or the high it gives them of like, ooh, I want to share this bad stuff or whatever, you know? So to see how you've not only been able to spread it to others, but to find the joy in being that for others, it's really cool to see. And I'm so appreciative that you're so willing to be authentic and share that, because it's going to inspire others to do the same. And it's just only going to make it better for everyone to be in this time of life, right?
Yeah, I don't want anybody to have to feel like they have to go through that alone. I didn't have to go through that alone. I had support. So if I can be, even like without knowing that person, if I can be that support that they need through that time, or at least they can hear me talking about it, or even if they really hit me up and be like, oh, who's your therapist, or like what, you know, like I to know that I could be a part of someone's not just surviving but thriving and like figuring things out, that makes me feel so good. I feel like that's my whole purpose.
Yeah.
So
the last question I wanted to ask you is, you know, we talk so much here and you mentioned how like your papa's always right there,
Mm-hmm.
and you can kind of feel him here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like as we were talking, I was just like, I feel like he's listening to this. And
Yeah.
did you ever have these kind of conversations with him?
With Papa?
Yeah. Like, do you think he knew like the depth of you like this? How he kind of shared that today?
Yeah, I think so. I think he could see it without me having to really talk about it much. I was definitely an oversharer with my Papa. I told him stuff he probably never wanted to hear. I love talking to him about my relationships and my experiences in the music industry. I'd be like, Papa, you want to know what this girl did? You know, and he would just hear me talk. Sometimes he'd roll his eyes, or it would be cute because sometimes like I could see the protective instinct in him. I remember one time, because he's definitely a tough love type of guy. He had like made a comment about my choice in partners, because I think he knew before I did that I wasn't really good at choosing that. So he had made a comment and it hurt my feelings, and I was like, dang. And then I kind of was quiet. That's how you know that I'm like upset. I was quiet. And then I was doing work with him on the ulu tree in the back. And I had stood up and one of the branches like bonked me in the head, and I was like, ah, and that was like the first noise that I had made that whole day, because I was like still upset with him. And he like got up out of his golf cart and like grabbed that branch and was like, and threw it on the side. And that was like his way of showing like, I love you. So that's kind of like how our communication would be. It'd be more like showing each other in these really weird ways. But yeah, he was a Portuguese man. He loved to tell stories, and listen to stories. So I think my Papa had a really good understanding of who I was and what I wanted to do and wanted to be. And I think in his own way, like him teasing me and telling me I'm doing things wrong I think he knew that that's the kind of support that I would need, you know, because that's all of those things that we talked about are still in my head. So, and I feel like his presence is still here, whether it's because you know, like his blood is literally right here. So I feel like he is still here, and he is still helping to guide me. So he's listening into this for sure. I'm pretty sure he thinks you guys are cool.
Oh, thank goodness. I don't want him to pick me up and break me in half. What do you think he is saying to you now in this position of your life where you're saying like it's a really cool time, like transition, to see you come out of what you have and the growth you've seen? Like, what do you feel like he's saying to you now? Or
probably saying, finally,
yeah,
finally you get off from laying on your back all day. And he's probably saying, look at this place. There's a lot of work to be done. Get to it. Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. So that's the voice that I'm excited about, though, because I feel like I can hear that coming from him, and I'm like, don't worry, old man, I'm about to get to it. Just you wait. I just needed to heal a little bit, but we're back in action. So yeah, that's what I think he's saying. Get to work.
Well, with that, I better let you get to work. You've taken way too much time. So thank you so much.
Thank you.